You've got to be comfortable making people uncomfortable. If you're done with that, and if you actually want to be loved for who you are, and you're okay with losing those who never even related to you, then listen up. Discomfort is your strategic advantage. You cannot be magnetic without being repelling, because after you're going to understand this, you're never going to be able to allow yourself to please with ease ever again. So when I started setting boundaries, I actually thought that I'm doing something wrong, because I got so many attacks, so much defensiveness from their side, that I was gaslighted, guilt-tripped, and essentially I was feeling like I was the bad guy. So most of them, eventually, I had to part ways with. So people who were benefiting from my niceness, they actually started from calling me very kind, very sincere, very honest person. Right now, I became the biggest enemy for them. So I heard like, I'm a bitch, I'm selfish, how can I be so ignorant, how I can only think about myself, all of those things. So gaslight and basically guilt tripping were two main things that I experienced the most through that time. So as you can imagine, I really doubted myself. Like, I was sitting in those conversations, and some of them were just like by chatting with other people and seeing, is it gonna be okay? Like, am I able to do it? Because I was not able to face people face to face. With some that I know that they're going to react very intensely, but this is actually one of the signs that you should be very honest with them. This is where I sat with myself, I was freaking out, and I was guilt tripped after guilt trip, and I was attacked and so on. And basically what people were trying to do is to bring me into the same thing, what I was doing for them again. So I would be useful for them the way they want to use me. So for a while I did doubt myself. I was thinking, oh my God, it just would be so easier right now to go back, to not think about how all of this should change. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe they are right. Oh, that's a big one. Maybe they were right. And especially when I needed to see those people again in like daily settings, I was freaking the hell out. But the difference before that, before I actually had those conversations, was that I understood that I would rather feel bad by myself, but at least I can support myself inside, rather than I would be facing them and allow them to shame me into me thinking that I'm doing something wrong. So truthfully, when boundaries started to be set in place, the only people I lost were not the ones that actually love and care for me and do respect me a lot. They were actually the ones that never cared for me, never respected me, never wanted to hear me talking, being seen, being better than them. So how on earth is this not beneficial? And those who stayed with me, those who, honestly, some of them I didn't need to even bring any boundaries, because they always had them with me. They always listened to what I need, how I reacted. And those conversations, that communication, and those relationships with those people, they became even more deeper than before, because I stopped hiding myself and I started tapping into everything that I was. And I was like, okay, I will be okay, because I survived that very hard period of setting boundaries with people who benefited from me. But I had trust within those relationships that it's okay. Even if they won't like me as I am, with those particular interests of mine, with those particular boundaries as well, right? How I am in general, that's okay. Then I'm going to have other people eventually. But the thing is that not everyone is going to vanish. Some will, the ones that you're supposed to repel, and the others you're going to attract more. It's like activating that magnet, and from being demagnetized for a very long time, so immediately those who you are supposed to attract, they start going towards you, and those who are supposed to repel, they're going to be repelled. Sometimes that repelling process is definitely not a very pleasant one, but it's definitely necessary for you to see who actually cares about you and who is only kind to you when they're getting everything they want from you. So I want to acknowledge one thing that is absolutely normal for you to know, is that everyone wants to be liked. I want to be liked by everyone. I know that this is just internal thing, but there's a big difference when you actually come down to setting boundaries and being okay for people not to like you, because you understand that to be liked by everyone is absolutely impossible. Because no matter what you're gonna do, how you're gonna bend, how you're gonna mold yourself, it's still at some point it's not gonna be good enough for someone. Still, someone won't like it. You cannot find even one person who is liked by absolutely everyone in the world. And I actually challenge you to find the person that you absolutely love and you feel like you know in your mind that no, they can't be loved by someone, because someone is maybe such a sweetheart that you cannot even imagine that someone would hate that, because there's so much like there's nothing to hate. And I feel, for example, like that towards Yoga with Adrian here that we have on YouTube, that she is such a sweetheart. And then I saw some backlash on her, even though it wasn't that much, but that really put things for me into perspective, seeing that even the most kindest, loving, like adorable kind of people, even they get backlash. Or should I say, even they repel people. Because as you can imagine, for example, she is very successful in her yoga niche. And if there is someone who is still trying to build, let's say, their career in yoga through YouTube as well, and they're looking to her as an enemy because they're envious, just her success will already repel someone. So not even to talk about like everything else that could come up, because people have their own filters, people have their own needs, people have their own insecurities. So you never know what kind of filter you're going to actually meet and who's going to be repelled and who's going to be attracted. And it's not your job to know. Your job is actually to make sure that your magnet is working and you're strong in attraction and repelling. The only person who's going to still like you and the ones that you're going to attract when you're pleasing and when you don't have a sense of self, when you don't have boundaries, is that you're going to be very liked by narcissists. And this is when you attract narcissists, when they like you, usually authentic people are repelled, because they can feel when someone is fake. They can feel when someone cannot stand their ground. They can feel when someone is not saying the truth, when they don't have a strong position. Everyone likes like passion, and even if you sometimes hate some things, that's completely fine, but you can only connect through some sort of very strong stance with another people, that you can feel that connection through those important things that stand for you and for that person as well. When I was in a people-pleasing mode, this is where I could not see that this is where narcissists are going to be attracted to me. I just thought that there's only narcissists in this world, and I thought that this is the only way to survive. Because I only had maybe 2 friends at that time that I met, but it wasn't even a day-to-day thing that I would talk to them or anything. So for me, it was just a world full of narcissists, and that I had to please them in order to make sure that my needs are met, because that's all that is. So when I start working within myself, when I start to bring out boundaries, to get that basically clarity from outside what is happening, and I couldn't care about pleasing those who just need me for their own use, this is where I started to understand that I cannot respect people who don't have their own boundaries. So absolutely, you're missing out on people who you are supposed to connect with, just because you're not clear on what you stand on, what you believe in, and who you are in general. Because they cannot see you. You are unseen in their field. Either if they see you, they see that you just mold yourself into whatever everyone else around them needs. Authentic people do not connect with that. Real relationships are not built on that. And talking about relationships, it's very important to understand that each relationship that you have in life, between you and another person, between you and even things that you have around yourself in your everyday life, every single thing, every single person is meeting a need inside of you. And if it's another person, you're meeting a need from them that they need. So this is why you have that connection. So think of it like this. So for example, if you own a hair straightener, let's say, you own it because you need it. It meets the need for you to have straight hair, right? If you wouldn't have that need, you wouldn't have that hair straightener. Then when we look into relationships, let's say I have a friend that is always so fun to be with, I always feel very understood, And this is what I have a need for in life, right? To have fun and to be understood. And meanwhile, she needs a good listener. So this is where we connect, and this is where we are able to exchange, to have that transaction of needs met, and this is what allows that connection to be. So let's look at it from a different perspective. What happens if between two people, one's person needs are not addressed, but from other person, they are addressed? So what happens is, for example, that friendship is going on, everything seems fine, and then at some point, one person thinks, why is that person so clingy? They need to give me some space. Meanwhile, another person, on the other hand, thinks, why are they running away from me? Like, what did I do wrong? What's happening? So what happened there is that from one person's perspective, is that their needs are actually being met, but from the other person, they don't have anything in that relationship that they need, and this is why they're pulling away from it. So when it comes down to you putting up boundaries, something that you never had before, right? So all of the people that you have, for example, right now in your life, right? You come out with new boundaries, with new sense of yourself. And this is where you're basically saying, I'm not going to meet this need, I'm not going to meet this need, this I'm actually okay with. So those people who actually got that particular need met by you, through you pleasing them when you were not standing up for yourself, they're going to start fade away from your life, and that's normal. And believe me, if they are narcissists, they're not going to start to understand, they're not going to try to understand. So here's another metaphor for you. So imagine that you have been forever lukewarm kind of water, right? And you have, sometimes when you interact with people, you have hot water coming to you, right? And you have also, when you have narcissists, you have cold people coming to you as well. So you always try to adjust to them because they have more extremities to them. Then when you decide to actually show up with your boundaries, with who you are, this is where you're turning your heat up. So when you turn that heat up, you only benefit the people who are already hot in your life, right? So the ones that you like relate with. But another thing is that ice cannot still stay in your surroundings, right? So it actually melts, even though it's uncomfortable because it's very different from you. So you realize that it was never supposed to be there because it's such a big pull from each other. And this is what allows them to essentially fade away. And when you don't have them anymore, it's so much easier for you to keep your heat. So as I mentioned before, right now I want you to actually think about people who are very known, who are very, in your eyes, let's say that they're like, oh my God, like they're amazing, they're perfect, like they're so nice. So I want you to think of those people, and I want you to think that all of them have haters. And also why? Because they have strong stance on what they believe in and what their message is. So my absolute favorite person in the world, except my man, Teal Swan. So she is absolutely amazing. She has very strong opinions. She is clear on what she does not tolerate. And she does get a lot of backlash, right? That's just the norm. This is how it works. Then, for example, we can look into Jordan Peterson. He is not being lukewarm. He's not trying to please everyone as well, right? He has a strong stance in what he believes in, and he owns that. So another good example is actually Kanye West. I think you know how controversial this person is, but that's okay. Because even by being very controversial, how he is, he still owns himself. He still owns what he believes in, and he still goes with that message. And you know what? Even though he repels a ton of people, he has literally fans that are obsessed with him. So none of these people would be where they are, how they are, if they would be staying lukewarm, if they would stay demagnetized, right? And just try to please everyone and everyone's positions and everything. It's not about that. You're not here on this earth to reflect everyone and to be understanding to everyone. That's not it. You're here to understand yourself, stand for what you actually believe in, and move with that. So when you're actually standing up for something, for things that you believe, you allow others who feel passionately about that also see you, first of all, and then resonate with you, right? And when you resonate with each other, this is where those true connections are being born. Of course, there's going to be those who are going to absolutely hate what you're saying and what you're all about, and that's fine. This is actually when you know that you're doing something right, because you're repelling some people. So remember this one thing. Always, when you think about, oh, attracting this and that, it always comes with the side of repelling. If you want to attract something, you're going to repel something. If you're going not just toward direction of attracting the right people in your life, but also if you're trying to create the reality that you want, you're going to need to go into the direction that you want and be okay to repel something that was in your life that was never actually for you. And be okay when things are actually crumbling down, that were old structures that were never ever making you happy. They were just okay for the time. So there are a couple of things that actually allowed me to gain clarity why I don't need other people in my life, the ones that I do not need. And I saw that it comes from actually an insecurity in me about not being met with certain needs. Like, for example, when I had my toxic friends, I needed them in order to be a part of social community. But when I saw that, and when I was like, I don't even want to be a part of social community, it was very subconscious essentially that I needed it. This is where I saw that I am okay with losing them and losing the community, because I care more about having myself than being in a community that I don't even respect, I don't even want to be in, because it's not beneficial for me. And this is where that switch flipped. So the questions that brought me to that realization is actually these ones. So I want you to pay very close attention so you can ask them yourself as well. Well, actually, it's one question that I want you to ask yourself. So the question is, why are you afraid to repel that person? So this question will allow you to see the need, what we were talking about before, right? The need that they are meeting for you in this relationship between you and them. When you're going to have that need clear for yourself, this is where I want you to see that you're selling yourself short in order to meet that need. So it's either that need getting met, either it's you being yourself fully how you are, with your boundaries, with absolutely everything that you have. And think which one is actually more important to you. If you never gain that clarity and you never actually realize that some people you truly do not even need in your life and they're actually hurting you more than benefiting you, but you just couldn't see it, that is very normal to realize. So be okay to sit with that, to allow yourself to feel those emotions that, oh my God, I truly did allow to sell myself for way less than what I deserve. Because this is true. And when you're going to come up to those people, when you're going to actually able to express yourself, right? Let them feel, let them react, and allow that reaction to be the sign of where it's going to go further. Is it going to be someone who are going to get even more attracted to and you're going to get closer to, or this is someone who you will need to allow to be repelled from you and to let them get away out of your life. Don't be scared that you're going to be guilt-tripped, shamed, or gaslighted. All of those things, if they are narcissists, if you're suffering because of those people, expect that. That's okay and that's normal. There are plenty of information about how do narcissists react, so I really recommend you going deeper into that direction of educating yourself. What can you expect from people like that? And it's going to be way easier to live through this particular time. And here's the thing. Every connection, every relationship is about alignment. You give, they give, or it all falls apart. You can keep ignoring this truth, but it will keep on draining your energy, leaving you stuck with people who don't even see you. And that is exactly why this next step is crucial. Earlier, I mentioned how relationships in your life, starting from straightener and ending up with your closest people in your life, only works if both sides are meant to meet the need. But here's what most people never see. Most of us are forcing connections that were never meant for us. So before you're gonna go out and try figure it out by yourself or try to go blindly, watch this video because it's going to show how to get crystal clear on what you actually give in a relationship, what you need in a relationship, and who truly aligns with your energy. And this isn't just a theory, it's literally the difference between chasing approval and being naturally magnetic to those who you resonate with.